launching a community, paid or free. We kind of wanted to give you guys a behind the scenes look at. We've been talking about this for a couple years, right? Like how the stuff and the strategies and the tactics that we teach inside of Group Juice they're transferable, which is really hard to kind of grasp, especially in like earlier stages. Or a lot of people get hung up on tactic, like, oh, I can't do this because that's not what they said in the actual tactic. So we basically ended up launching a brand new group off of Facebook, utilizing the Group Juice strategies. So we kind of wanted to bring light to you guys, right? We wanted to talk about this with you guys because this is a very important thing that we talk about a lot. We talk about building groups, building communities, which is something we're actually doubling down on coming into the new year. We're not burning down our business. We're not pivoting. We're not, changing models. Realistically, we're doubling down on what we've already been doing for a few years, right? Because it's worked. It's worked extremely well for us. It's worked extremely well for clients. And I genuinely believe that having a community in some form or some fashion is going to be the key ingredient to you having a lot of success online. I don't care if you're running a community off of Facebook, if you're running a, community technically on YouTube. Uh, and the stuff we talk about in here is not specific to just Facebook groups, right? Which I know sounds contrary because a lot of the trainings and a lot of stuff that we've talked about is, hey, build your group on Facebook. It's not to say you can't use these mediums to grow another group, which is literally what we just did with Skool, right? We blew up a Skool group to about 100 people in about a couple of weeks. And then obviously we haven't done very much with it since because we started running other promotions. But that's kind of the real power of it is we literally blew up a buyer's community and built another 36K annual income stream in a few weeks, right? Took the Skool community to 100 plus people in a few weeks, right? Now, obviously, we will be breaking down the actual tactics and strategies. Skool is a community platform. It's like a Facebook, right? It's actually just a platform that we blew it up on. So the biggest thing is how it came to be, right? How did this actually start? And I think this is a really important lesson for a lot of people is money loves speed and not overthinking things or overanalyzing things because most of the time we'll kind of think things into existence if they will or they won't work, and you never really know unless you just kind of pull the trigger and actually move, right? So it literally started with a couple minute conversation on the third floor at the beach house in Myrtle Beach. Flip showed me an email from Travis about how he was giving away bonuses to people who signed up for a new platform. And Skool has been on my radar since taking Sam Ovens Consulting Accelerator. This was in like 2021. For those of you guys that don't know, Sam Ovens is the creator of Skool. Literally sold his 8-figure business to, go into software. So we got back and we brainstormed and we launched an offer within a few weeks. This is kind of a visual representation of where we're placing the group, right? So very similar to the Group Juice model. Still have all our public traffic sources up front, right? We still have our public communities, content and conversations, and then we're injecting the Skool group here as one of our paid offers, right? So it's nothing's, we're not burning down our business to go launch this new thing, which is usually what a lot of people will do is like, okay, well, I'm adding this new piece into the business and then I'm going to abandon everything else and do this new thing, right? We're injecting this into our actual business to make everything else better, right? We're not trying to replace our business with this new thing. Just to be clear, we're using it as another element to build relationships, indoctrinate people into our way of doing things, building more relationships with people at scale, all sorts of different things, right? And as I kind of mentioned here, this is an important part about adding a new stage to business is it feeds the pre-existing ecosystem instead of replacing them, right? Which plays a big part of compounding success versus riding roller coaster launch, creating new and starting over and constantly pivoting, which is a big thing in our market, right? Everybody's jumping from the best tactic, the newest make money online opportunity oh, I did this for 6 weeks, it didn't work, I'm gonna go burn it down and go do something new, and then they just go in circles. Right? That's a very big problem in our market.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many folks I've seen, folks that I truly like and love, them as a person, but seeing them seeing them promote 6 different things in 3 months, and like that's like the killer of most businesses. If you can't stick with something long enough, you're just really just going to chase your tail. So like Nate was mentioning there, it's going to be a for those of you that really want to compound your success, like pick something that you're wanting to get good at, like whatever it might be. It might be content, it might be offers, might be lead gen, might be growing a following, whatever it might be. Just pick something and commit to becoming the person that is really good at it. Because when you get really good at something, it's much easier to layer in, you know, other things that you want to do because you've gotten good at something. Like that right there is totally slept on. Okay. So when me and Nate were talking about doing this, we really wanted to nail the messaging, right? So this is very, very important when you're bringing, an offer to the table. We needed something different and an angle that we could use for a reason behind why we were launching this community, just to make sure it was relevant and in alignment, right? So we couldn't just come out and be like, hey, we're launching a brand new 4-step thing that'll show you how to monetize and grow a community. We already have that. That's group juice. So we had to have something that was different, right? That would make them feel inclined to move because they haven't seen this new thing that we're doing. So we went with breaking the third wall. So if you those of you, some of you are in there, if you remember reading the quick little itinerary that we put together for it, the offer doc, we were kind of talking about this part, like when you see movies, when a character addresses the medium in which they're situated, it's like this one level removed from breaking the fourth wall, in which characters acknowledge and or speak to the audience, right? So inside of Skool, we share a lot more different things. Like me, I've got a training that I'm working on about one of our other income streams that me and Nate have been doing for about a year now. We just haven't mentioned it or talked about it publicly. So we're talking about different things behind the scenes inside of Skool to give folks an inside look. Now, this naturally is very beneficial to those inside because they get to see exactly what Nate and I do, especially the stuff that we don't talk about publicly, right? If we don't talk about it publicly, um, it's going to be talked about inside of this paid community. So it's like that proximity and access to shit that we don't share publicly, like income streams. That's always going to be attractive. Right. So this right here, one, the third wall thing, like addressing, the audience. Most folks don't really ever do it, or are they willing to because they feel like it could hurt their bottom line? Like they're not going to make money, or they'll have folks go buy from someone else. They just think it's going to hurt their brand overall. So it's very, very fucking easy to operate a group and fill the community with content like this because we can literally just run our business how we already do and talk about it, right? So it becomes like a melting pot of uh, we don't even try. We don't have to try to do this because it does it naturally, but it'll pre-sale on us as a whole and everything that we already do. So we're talking about a post we put together for an offer we're running for X. It gets offers in folks' hands without making offers because they get to see how we conceptualized it. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, let me know in the comments. What a hell yeah, got it. So
Yeah, good.
go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say a good real time example of this is like when we were running the discounted payment plan option for Group Juice. We were breaking down the intentions of why we were creating content the way we were creating it while we were creating it inside of the Skool community, and that caused folks to buy Group Juice, right? Because we were like, hey, we're doing this promotion and this is our intentions behind it and like why we're putting it together, and then we would start getting inbounds from people like, hey, like what is this offer that you guys keep talking about? Right. So that's kind of what we mean by you're getting offers in people's hands without actually being like, hey, I have this thing. Are you ready to buy it? We're just talking about how we're operating our business. And that naturally starts to pre sale for you.
Yeah.
Right. Very easy, low pressure way to run a community. And you guys can emulate this in your own free groups as well. We talk about this a lot where we're like, you don't have to go as heavy with like the third wall aspect, but we talk about this a lot when it's using your group as a journal and documenting what you're doing in your business. And I think the problem that most people run into with this element is they don't start doing enough to actually start talking about what they're doing. Right? They kind of wait to have these things they can talk about, and it's like you don't have to have these huge accolades to start documenting and talking about what you've done. Right? If you've been in this game for 90 days, you've made it longer than the vast majority of people ever have, if we're being
Yeah.
honest, right? Like people, they buy something and they don't ever even start, right? That's the nature of this online world. Um, so utilizing your communities as like your journal, and the real power of this lies in the longer that you're doing it, because you're going to start building these really inspirational and relationships with people by simply just showing up and talking about what you're actually doing. I have people that have been in my group for years. I get messages all the time that are like, "Man, it's crazy to see how different your life and business is. Like I've been in your group since you started." Right? Those people are extremely easy to convert into clients because they've literally watched me change their life, which then build or change my life, which then builds belief and conviction that I can help them do the same.
Yeah,
Right? Because I just did it in front of them.
exactly. So y'all might not know the power in this or even think about it this way, but planting seeds is like just you showing up and talking about stuff that you're doing, right? So if you don't take anything from today, but this bullet point, we'll be happy as a pig and shit. So once we were certain we're launching it, we started teasing at it, right? So on lives, we mentioned that we're planning something new and are looking for the first 50 folks. This is what we did inside of Group Juice. We wanted to give our Group Juice family first dibs on it because one, we were offering a lifetime cheaper price, and two, we wanted to bring it to our Group Juice family where we've got a lot of relationships with you guys and give y'all first dibs on it, right? So exclusivity. So inside of other content, we also did this in paid groups. We did this publicly. We just simply talked about what we were going to do for a little bit of time, just kind of gauging interest. So like the first 50 spots were filled before we ever went live with it, right? So that means before we put the offer doc together, before we put training in the Skool community, before we actually launched and created the Skool community, before we really did anything, we built demand for the offer itself. This is how you save face. Like I see a lot of folks are like, oh, well, I built this course and nobody bought it. Took me 2 months, 3 months, 6 months to build this and nobody's buying it. And that's because they didn't do any pre-selling. They didn't do any market research, and they didn't create any demand for the thing that they built, right? That's where people get fucked. All right. So this really helped when we done this way, because when we dropped a single post about our inboxes got flooded with messages like this one you see. What's the deal on the 50 spots? I didn't get to catch last week's live or catch up yet because of blah, blah, blah. They missed it. I know I told you a while back I was totally in, but don't know if the spots are already spoken for. They're like, they don't want to miss it, right? This is how you have folks inside of your inbox like, hey, I want the thing before the spots, close up. Now, this also is possible because when me and Nate launch something, some cases will cap the spots out. So folks know that like, hey, once these spots are gone, like that's it. We don't open it back up because, you slept late or you stayed up watching Netflix and you missed the announcement or you were 5 minutes over the time we were closing it down. Like, better luck next time. Like we don't fuck around. We don't do it for false marketing or, scarcity tactics. Like we do what we say we're going to do and we cap the spots where we say we're going to cap them. So like we've built that habit within our audience for them to know like, hey, all right, Nate and Flip said it's this. That's what it means. Either I'm going to get it or I'm going to miss out. Okay. So we want you guys to start experiencing more messages like this. So take that, build demand for your shit first. All right.
That's a big one, right? Building the attention and the awareness around, and this is like good real time example of like, the offer that we helped Chantel formulate in core, right? Which just kissed, 16K in 6 weeks. the biggest thing that she mentioned too, like she tagged us in a post yesterday, is she built demand and proof of concept prior, right? Because then the other thing to think about is you also get angles to pull on. If you
Yeah.
start like putting feelers out in your audience, you start putting out, TikToks or Facebook Reels or Facebook posts talking about, hey, I'm thinking about doing something on this, or hey, what types of things are you looking to improve in your business in 2024? You can literally get real time feedback as to what you need to create in your offers. Right? If you have a group of 100 people and 25 of them say that they're struggling with XYZ, be intentional with the offers you're creating. Go create an offer about XYZ. I just told you that's what they want to fix. Right.
Yep.
Versus everybody's telling you they want to do this in their business and you're doing that. Right. You're doing the polar opposite. And then you're like fighting your audience, like, hey, you should buy this. But they already kind of told you what they're struggling with. So this could be a big one. Right. We've done this with a lot of our offers. I think we mentioned it in Predictable Profits. This is how we've created literally everything. Like Juice Box, we started, building up demand and looking at what people were lacking in their business before we created Juice Box, right? Like this is what's really going to make your offers pop, is getting that actual real time data or real time feedback from people in your audience about what they're struggling with, right? It's like everybody's trying to sell the exact same variation of different things, and like finding a different angle. And if you're an affiliate, if you are doing if you're promoting products as an affiliate, this can be a really powerful one too. Is if you can find an angle of your own that is unique, and this is what we'll be kind of diving into next week as well, is finding a nuance for what makes your product different, right? This is how I literally started to stand out in the affiliate space, for people that were selling, low ticket value ladder products, because I had a free 6-day challenge that I would give to everybody when they purchased the affiliate product. So that meant on the face of it, I could sell my 6-day challenge, and then they would get access to that. But then it made me have a completely different message from everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes from being a competitive market of everybody selling the exact same thing in the exact same way to me having something that's unique to myself. Right.
Yep.
You can do this with the same products, right? It's just a different message, a different angle on the front, right?
Yeah. For any offer, right, or any perspective that you're trying to get folks to understand, if it's an offer, you want them to know if it's going to be for them and they should buy it or not. You really want to define the end goal, right? So for the people in Skool, obviously ascension, but with a lower price point at $33 a month, you're going to bring in a melting pot of folks at different stages. Like we got all kinds of people inside of Skool. Some folks aren't in group juice. Some folks are in there that have never bought anything else from us ever. Some folks are in group juice. Okay. So it's like it's a very, very good mixed bag of people. So we needed to facilitate assets and trainings that would help folks at various stages, get them ready for one of many of our offers. Now, the main goal isn't to, sell more shit to people, but at the same time, it kind of is, because folks are going to naturally want and need it. Like Skool is set up in a way to get folks to a certain point where they are getting results. They're getting to see how we think, how we do, how we operate, how we execute. Right now, just by us talking about our business, other things become attractive by default. Right. This is like the coolest part. We used to have to try to do this, and now we just do this without trying, because we've set things up in a way to where we can just literally talk about what we're doing in business. All right. It's much easier and much more fun that way, because we don't have to hold shit in or hide anything. It's just like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're helping folks do. Here's the results coming out of. Here's what our day looks like. Here's week to week business operations. Here's how we execute. Here's how we launch, blah, blah, blah. You see where I'm going. So we needed to create stuff in there that would fit a lot of different needs. So one, asset leverage, looking at training docs, resources that we could use that we've already created. That makes it easier for us to execute and deploy. Two, condense. So me and Nate have already stopped selling Juice Box. And it's housed inside of Skool at a certain level, right? So when you just go in there and comment and be active, you unlock certain levels of trainings where we've got really good shit in there you can get. So those two right there were pretty big. And then the retention game plan, which we'll update you fully on this as we go. But we wanted to keep it a low enough price point to where folks wouldn't shake a stick at the price. So like $33 a month is, especially compared to what's in there, it's stupid on our part. But we wanted to make it accessible to the serious folks, right? Meaning delivering a value worth that will be easy on our end, but it's like hardly no financial pressure because it's so cheap. Okay. And then the second part was what me and Nate really fucking loved, was gamifying the community. If you're paying attention, you'll see some other folks have recently started doing this. And I won't drop any names, but there's some good folks. Gamifying the community. So like the longer folks are in there, the more they're active, the more training and access, docs, resources, like the more shit that they can get, right? Complimentary access to just by being an active member. It's like your money is actually comments. So you pay the $33 a month, you get access to a lot of shit immediately, like solid ass trainings and stuff. But the more you're active, like your comment is worth money because it unlocks more trainings. So all you got to do is be a comment and some bitch in there, and you can unlock more stuff that we offer.
So like, I guess kind of dangling that carrot, right? Which is a powerful element to think about, right? And it's not even necessarily like just purely uh, dangling a carrot in front of people. It's incentivizing people to be active, right? They're getting rewarded for being a proactive member of the community, right? And the thing to think about is like, this is a big thing in the online space too, is people pay more attention when they've paid for things, right? So this could be a challenging thing to deploy in like a free group because there's no skin in the game versus like people want stuff, right? They're going to want free stuff. They're going to want access to different products and different things. And it kind of tricks the brain into feeling very accomplished, right? So, and there's still, you can't see it because this is here, but we've absolutely front loaded this entire uh, members area with trainings, right? Like it's absolutely insane what we give away for $33. Like what they would get in the first month is wild, right? Like
Yeah,
literally.
we did that on purpose. Like we always want to over deliver, but at a point where folks are like, holy shit, I can't believe I paid X amount and I got all of this, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to what we talked about above too, is defining the end goal. This is something that a lot of people tend to miss. Is there's two different ways to operate lower ticket offers or lower ticket products. You have one style where it's like, hey, let's kind of leave pieces of the business out and then we'll try to sell you the next piece, right? So that's like saying, I'll give you 3 steps and then I'm going to try to sell you the 4th. Whereas how we operate is like, we'll give you everything that you need, because the reality is if you come in and you have success from this $33 a month thing, you're going to come and want to work with us and buy something else. That's the reality of it, right? And if they don't, that's completely fine too. But it makes the sales process extremely easy if somebody comes into Skool and they're like, hey, I used a strategy inside of Skool and I grew my group by 1,000 people, or I made my first $1,000, right? Like it's very easy because they just built proof of concept in the process that you're helping them deploy. Right? It's a very simple sales process versus, that dirty, feeling that a lot of us have probably been through, where it's like high pressure and, that's a thing, right? That's a model. So ascension game plan, right? We are the epitome of, we're anti no upsells ever, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with upsells, especially if you do it correctly. That I think that's the natural ascension in most business is people are going to want closer proximity. People are going to want to work closer with you. That's the reality of it. I think the no upsells ever is a very bad marketing message. It's a breeding ground for people that aren't really looking to build real businesses that just want quick money. But as you guys noticed, it's a breeding ground for what's going on inside the business when we're doing trainings, lives on the calendar. The content has and will be very centered around what we're doing in real time. Meaning we're going to be able to go into the content and talk about launching an offer, and then there's going to be natural interest in the offer because we're literally talking about that, right? Like I put out a post in the Skool community talking about we ended up talking about a anchor post that I put out to kick off a group juice promotion, right? And that piques interest around group juice. If they're not in group juice, they're reading this post while I'm breaking down how I did this post, but they're also getting exposure to me making an offer at the exact same time, right? So ascension game plans obviously would be group juice and then core, right? Those are really only our other two offers at this point. We got cash curriculums, we got group juice, and we got core. And that's really all we're going to be selling in 2024 as a whole.
Yep. Something really cool. Nate just made a point. He said it nicely. I think that, and I might get some hate for this. It's okay. But if you're not putting have some kind of upsell or ascension to work with you closely or order bumps, it's silly as fuck. Okay. Someone tell me in the comments, when's the best time to get someone to buy something? Let me know. All right, we'll come back to it because I don't have the comments up. But we had Jacob gave us this idea to test it, and we decided to add a few order bumps to the Skool offer. And I've got to say that it converted quite nicely. I can't tell you exact numbers, but it definitely made thousands and thousands of extra dollars, right? So we added an order bump. The first one was $39. And exactly, Angela, she nailed it. And she knows this because she's fucking bomb ass badass. And we also had a one-time offer we ran specifically for folks in the new group. So we spun, 100K game plan and ran a completely new pre-recorded training. That's, me and Nate, which is 1 times 290. If they say no, it redirects them to a payment plan option of 4 times 90. Okay. So this has been kind of like a pretty cool catalyst to pulling in big revenue numbers with it already. I think at the time of this, it was like 5K in the last 36 hours. That was what it did. So low barrier of entry on the front, more volume, which in turn increases opportunity to get more purchases on upsells. Okay. So this also opens up scope down the line to see the percentage of folks buying and what the average cart value. So our average cart value is way more than $33, even though the initial offer is $33. Okay. Does that make sense for y'all? Something else that we want to share, super, super important, is we are treating Skool as our safe place to speak freely on anything that we want, like no holding back. You can ask anyone's in there. There's like no tongue biting. And again, I'm excited to bring, since the group juice promo is over, I'm excited to work on it's probably going to be like 3 simple steps in order to get another income stream going. And I'm not going to include any tech, any software. Like, we're going to keep this one so simple. This is the thing that Nate and I have been doing for a long ass time. So like no crazy shit, just the simple 3 steps to get a pretty passive income stream going inside of Skool. So we'll be sharing that soon. Anyways, over time, we'll continue to add new trainings and concepts on everything that we do in the business: softwares, courses, Chrome extensions, income streams, our thoughts on the market, predictions, actions, launches, like anything and everything will go in here where we document it. We're just letting folks into our crazy brains, which, will make all relationships stronger over time. So we literally want it to be a safe place for everyone, not just us, but for everyone that chooses to be there too. So that's the most important, putting people first. So we will be putting some time and energy into this the rest of the year on 2024 as it grows. It's just a huge case study that we've been having a lot of fun with. And it'll be, likely a place where we consolidate many of our assets as we create them, sell more things, raise prices, price increases. It's just a good chance that this increases the shelf life of what we've got here in Group Juice as well, since it's just more proof of concept. So Group Juice started with just like Facebook groups. But since Group Juice has started, Nate and I have realized not only us, but many, many, many people inside of Group Juice have used our model to grow all kinds of different platforms, all kinds of different groups. They've used it to sell all kinds of different products and services. So it's not just about Facebook. And Mark Scott, if he happens to see this or be here today, when he first saw what we did with Group Juice, he immediately said, hey, this is much, much more than affiliate marketing. It's actually everything you need to sell and create any kind of business online you want. So that's kind of like where we're at.
Cash Curriculums is the group, and Skool is the platform we're hosting the group on. Skool is just a software. It's like it's Facebook.
Yep.
Facebook, right? It's just a community platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of the actual community platform. So, now we'll kind of riff on free group launch, right? Because we kind of been centered around offers, which obviously a lot of this stuff is very transferable into your own free groups. And I would really kind of like, I'll drop the doc too, but like look at a lot of this different stuff and look at different ways to inject this into your free groups. And we'll kind of talk about like some nuances as far as like what I would be doing over again if I was launching a group, right? First things first, getting a few things in place that you can leverage as fuel to get people inside, right? This is something that a lot of people tend to sleep on, right? They're like, oh, I haven't put anything in my group because I don't know what to put in there. I haven't actually started putting content in my group because there's nobody inside of it. And you need to flip those perspectives onto its head, right? The more you have in your group, the easier it is to grow the group because you can literally just go talk about that everywhere, right? So examples, 3 live videos of talking about how you built your business, mistakes you made in your business, what you're doing now, like even just a video of who you are, right? You can literally start utilizing anything, right? I regularly, almost daily, the content that I write in my group becomes lead magnets that I use to grow my group, right? A good real-time example of this is I put out a post about Chantel, about the offer we helped her formulate inside of Core. And I went and created a purple post on my profile. I got over 100 comments. And anybody want to take a stab at where I was sending them? To that post that I wrote in my group. I literally just used the thing that I wrote in my group as a lead magnet.
Yep.
Right. Very easy way to start growing the group. Trainings about how you've done X thing, right? Like give secret sauce, give training, give tactics, don't be afraid to give away the farm. This is, take that with a grain of salt. Don't be afraid to give away the farm if you're comfortable with asking for sales, right? This is something a lot of people get scared of. Like, oh, I can't give everything away because people aren't going to want to buy from me. And the thing to think about is if you can actually start giving people tactics that help them change their life in your free group, in your content, in your lives, it puts the chances of them actually purchasing something through the roof, right? If you run a training in your group and someone goes and generates their first sale, they go generate 10 leads, they go do X, Y, Z. When you come around and you ask them, hey, would you like to work together? Or would you like to, have a chat about this offer? They've already built proof of concept in what you're giving them, right? Because with your free stuff, right? I mean, look at the entire business model of Alex Ramosi, right? He literally gives everything away for free. And he starts his videos with, hey, I have nothing to sell you, which is, obviously he has something to sell, right? But he wants you to get so much results in your business from his free content that he can then come and invest in your business, right? It's a good way to look at it. Ebooks, lead magnets, or posts, right? As I mentioned, right? You can literally use posts as lead magnets. Anything that you do in your group could be a lead magnet to grow the group, right?
100%.
All right. Then everything externally becomes fuel to get that in people's hands, right? Like another good example of this is like if you encapsulate your energy one time, there's nothing to say that you guys can't reuse that over and over again. We ran a free workshop in February that we're still using to grow our groups. It's still something we reference very regularly, right? Because it's probably one of the best things that we've put together for people that are bare bones beginners, right? If you are getting a lot of the same questions, you're seeing a lot of the same problems in the market, right? Those are types of things that you'd want to encapsulate into your guide section and then use that, right? The biggest thing to nail is the outcome, right? The outcome for the person. Like we have to remember people are consuming their content or your content, and they're only going to take action when you're crystal clear on what they're getting from joining your group.
Yeah.
Right. And I specifically added these because I see this a lot, and even coming from people in group juice. The angles, the nuances, different content styles and strategies, all about the outcome for the actual consumer. Right. This is the singular question you need to answer inside of your content as many times as you can. Right. And in as many different ways as you can until you find an angle that actually works. Right. Don't just say, hey, just join my group. Like, okay, but like you have to think about it from the consumer's perspective. Like that's the first thing they're going to ask themselves is why would I need to join their group? Right. Why? You're like, hey, join my group. Well, why? Like that's, there's nothing in it for them. Right. So what are they getting out of it? Right. What could they accomplish? What could they eliminate? What will they become clear on? Right. You need to make it about them. Right. Which is that paradox of business, right? We're creating personal brands and we're creating content about ourselves, but we need to make what we're doing relevant to the people that are actually watching the content. Right.
Cool. Next, this one you guys ought to love. If you're not doing this, start like ASAP. Future asset and like plans to grow the group. Another powerful angle you can use is like talking about things that you're going to do, right? So what kind of posts are you going to be writing? What kind of topics are you going to be covering? What kind of live trainings are you doing? What kind of live trainings live in your group already? These are all things you can reference in external content, wherever it might be. So like talking about things that you did or what you are going to teach that allowed you to get to a certain milestone, right? Planning a free live event where I'm going to help you get clear on X after we cross 100 members in the group. Do you know anybody that would benefit from this? You could always give away trainings, assets, calls, support. And I say the last one, we say the last one lightly because you got to be careful with giving away like calls and support because people will abuse the shit out of you and think nothing of it. Okay. So just be careful with your time and make sure that you respect your time first. All right. So like to the folks that help you grow your group or are active in your communities themselves, think like a point system similar to Skool. Like you can check your engagement, you can check your growth of the group, you can check all kinds of things to see what times folks are active, what types of stuff they're responding to. You can see their comments, etc. So pay attention to that and use that for your content fuel, right? Like if you got a live that you're planning next Friday, so that means you've got from Monday to next Thursday to talk about what's going to be in the live. What is the topic of the live? What kind of strategy will you be teaching? What does the strategy do for you in the business, right? And how does the process overall, who it's for, how they can use it, what it's going to do for them, free time, give them more time, eliminate this, eliminate that. Whatever it is, you've got 2 weeks to promote that live, right? So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, okay? So that just fuels everything else a lot easier.
You can also do it post live, right? And I mentioned this because this is a big one too. Like when a lot of people have smaller groups or when you're planning things in your groups, you usually want to give your guys' self a little bit of time, as Flip mentioned in the beginning, to get attention around that thing. But at the same time, you can also do it backwards, right? So that there's quite a few people in core who like do this is their content strategy where they'll do like a weekly live in their group. So like if they do a live on Wednesday, right? So Monday through Wednesday is creating attention around what they're doing. And then Thursday to Friday is getting people to the thing that they just did. Right.
Yep.
So like as I mentioned too, we ran a live workshop in our groups in February that we still send people to. Right. And that's a thing that a lot of people tend to forget is if you encapsulate your energy in your group and you do it intentionally, it will continue to work for you. Right. You can refeed lives, you can refeed trainings, you can refeed interviews or, anything that you end up putting in your group, you can kind
Sure.
of pull on it for as long as you want. That's the
Yep.
beauty of the online space is you can build these little micro assets that build relationships for you. They nurture your audience. They move people along that journey of becoming a buyer without you actually having to do it over and over and over again. It's what you guys will hear us reference all the time is like, if you're getting a lot of the same questions, you're getting a lot of the same objections, you're getting a lot of the same things happening in your DMs or your sales processes. Those are the things that you need to cover in your content, preferably like a live video or actual video that works for you,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
Chantel helps us behind the scenes with some of the sales processes, and the number one resource that she uses is old videos, old lives, right? Hey, if somebody has this question, send them this. If somebody's in this stage in a business, send them this, right? It's
Right.
like encapsulating your energy in your community that will work for you, right? This is a key element to eliminating calls, strategy sessions, like,
Here's
right?
here's a quick tip. If you haven't already, and let me know if this like kind of sets a light bulb off for you. Go and open a Google Doc, open another tab on your computer, open up your Facebook group. This is especially for those of you that have things in your Facebook group already. Now go and grab all the links that lead to live trainings that you did, trainings in your guide section, and make a list on that Google Doc with the links included. That way, if you're ever talking to someone, you can just send them, post links to your group or links from a replay from a live. Now, if they're not in your group and you send them that link, guess what? It's going to tell them that they can't see it because they're not a member of your group. Naturally, what are they going to do? I'm not in your group. I need to join. Boom. So I have a Google document that Nate made for me a long ass time ago because I am 10 times less organized than him. So shout out to my friend Nate Dogg. He made me a Google Doc that says Flips Stuff. It is where all of my links live, all of my affiliate links, all of my offer docs, all of the logins for our business stuff. Like it's like my go-to thing. I look at every single week and pull stuff from it, add stuff to it, etc. So that right there is a quick little hack. So you can always have something on you, whether you're at home on your computer or you need to pull up a doc on your phone because you're out and about. All right.